Hi, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to our WebEx session. I am Kalman Makay from the channel team, and on today I will moderate our events. The WebEx session topic is Symantec DLP Cloud, enhance your data security. Our special guest again, and the presenter is Ajit Nair, our dedicated Symantec DLP consultant. He will guide you on today. In the next 60 minutes on the presentation level, or maybe on the console, let's see how many time we have, Ajit will share you the details of the cloud DLP solution. The event, as always, will be recorded, and later we will share the recording link with you. If you have any question, then please use the chat window. Ajit, the stage is yours.
All right. Yep. Thanks very much, Kalman. Hi, everyone. I'm Ajit Nair. Let me start this by sharing my screen. I hope my screen is visible.
Yes, everything is fine. Yes.
All right. Great. So thanks, everyone, for joining. So I'm Ajit Nair. I'm one of the senior pre-sales engineer for Symantec, and I look after the Gulf region. So what I've done today is to walk you through an overview of what Symantec DLP Cloud can bring in terms of the value, how we can protect those cloud-based applications, and how we can have how customers can take benefit by using Symantec DLP Cloud. So let's look into a hybrid approach, a hybrid way to enhance your data security. So I've created an agenda. So the agenda is I'll start off with a quick introduction, just like last time. This introduction would be to walk you through, give you an introduction of how Symantec was founded. After that, we will walk you through some of the challenges in cloud security, followed by a solution overview. And in the solution overview, I've included a couple of slides to help you understand our CloudSOC functionality, the CloudSOC architecture, and how the hybrid architecture works. And then we'll focus on some of the key use cases. And lastly, we can have a demo of some of the use cases and how Symantec DLP can address those challenges. All right. So let's start off. So let's understand who we are, right? So our legacy. So we are a sum of many innovative companies, multiple companies. So as you can see, Symantec was founded in the year 1982. And some of the iconic acquisitions, I would say, is when 2007 it founded, it acquired DLP. 2015 is 2016, another great acquisitions with CASB and Blue Coat. Similarly, Carbon Black was also founded in 2002. And 2019-ish is where Broadcom acquired Symantec. And 2019, the same year, VMware acquired Carbon Black, right? And 2023 is when Broadcom acquired VMware, and at 2024, that's where the unification took place, where Broadcom brought these two brands together, creating an enterprise security group. So when Broadcom thought of bringing these two brands together, it was to deliver an end-to-end security solution, a wall-to-wall security solutions to keep our customers protected. So this is just a quick background of how Symantec was founded. Let's discuss some of the challenges now in cloud security. So as you can see over here on the slide, information security, it contains 4 key areas. And those key areas are data security, data protection and compliance, risk management, and cloud adoption. So with data security, this is basically the cornerstone of information security. And the challenges are that it involves identifying those sensitive data, where that data resides, whether that data is at rest or whether it is in motion, and establishing those clear guidelines on where and with whom that data can be shared. When we talk about the next pillar, I would say, or the next phase, is talking about compliance. And it's closely tied with data security, right? So companies struggle with adhering to those regulations, those compliance, those industry regulations. How is the data getting handled? Are companies being responsible, right? Risk management brings in that human element where humans, users, employees are one of the top vectors when it comes to accidental exposure of sensitive data. Identifying those risky applications, in other words, shadow IT, understanding those risky behaviors, those shadow AIs, for example, application Gen AIs, for example, how we can identify those, right? And finally, cloud adoption as data slowly and steadily are moving beyond that traditional data centers to the clouds. So how can we address this as a vendor, right? This is precisely what Symantec DLP core as well as Symantec DLP cloud offers. So we do offer a comprehensive solution to manage these challenges, right? So when we talk about, let's pick one, maybe shadow IT. So shadow IT, when we discuss about cloud security, the first concern that comes to our mind is shadow IT. So how many cloud applications are my users engaging with? And that's what usually companies struggle with in understanding. So as per the Gartner cybersecurity predictions, 2024 alone, it's estimated that around 41% of the users are engaged in using those unapproved applications to perform their daily jobs. And this number by 2027, this figure is expected to rise to 75%. And this is going to grow, right? So implementing or using our Symantec DLP cloud, we can give you that visibility where we can help you gain that visibility and control that is needed to manage these unknown and unapproved applications. So let's explore that in a few minutes. Another topic is Gen AI, right? So that's a new threat to sensitive data. So AI has, of course, it has been there for over a decade, but Gen AI, generative AI, has gained a significant attention, I think, since 2022 or something, and that's becoming a major topic across board meetings, right, across organizations. So because organizations, yes, Gen AI do bring in a lot of benefits, such as automating efficiencies, optimizing benefits, innovation opportunities, and companies don't want to miss out on that. But it does bring in a lot of challenges, such as privacy concerns. How is the data getting handled? Legal concerns, security concerns, right? And that's what Symantec DLP Cloud is here for. So we can address all these challenges. We can scan those payloads that are getting generated by those Gen AI applications. As an example, ChatGPT or maybe Google Gemini. So let's talk about those in details and let's understand our DLP components and of course the architecture. So let's see what is included in DLP Cloud. So DLP Cloud, we deliver a comprehensive DLP capability regardless of whether that data is stored or if it is in transit across through those cloud environments. And as you can see over here, with an on-prem N4 server, that's where things get more interesting. So you can have a hybrid approach of managing your data security. So DLP Cloud, as in the hybrid approach, we provide you with a full spectrum of detection technologies and incident reporting with this model. So DLP policies for those cloud applications, we bring in those granular controls wherein you can monitor those cloud you can build policies to scan those payloads across those cloud-based applications such as Box or Salesforce, even iCloud, for example. So and additionally, you with Symantec DLP Cloud, you also get different CDSs for CDS for ICAP, CDS for CASP, and CDS for email, which is CDS for SMTP. And this allows integration with our CloudSOC, as well as different modules such as email security cloud, as an example, right? So if you see over here, you as a customer, we give you the flexibility to either manage your DLP cloud. I mean, you can have a complete 100% cloud managed DLP, or you can have it enforce managed, which is a hybrid way of protecting your data not only on-premise, but also on the cloud. So let's understand, let's have a functional overview of CloudSOC. So how this comes into picture, how this comes to life. So DLP Cloud is composed of CloudSOC CASB and those CDSs which I mentioned in the previous slide. So CDS for email and CDS for ICAP, right? But let's focus on the functionalities over here, right? So CloudSOC can be used to identify those risky applications, right? So those shadow IT by analyzing, and how we do that is by analyzing those network traffic logs, which can either be sent directly from an on-prem proxy, such as Symantec proxy solution, such as the Edge swig, or even the Cloud swig. And in most deployments, these solutions require an agent. So what the agent essentially does is that it steers, it routes that traffic to the CloudSwig, which is over here, right? The CloudSwig, and our CloudSwig then forwards it to the different CDSs for inspection. So for Shadow IT, we have something called as the audit module, which performs the analysis, and then it gives you an audit score to which helps you understand whether or not an application is safe to use or if it's not really safe to use, right? Another method, if you see on the bottom right over here, um, another method for obtaining those network traffic log is by leveraging a span VA, which is a virtual appliance. Okay, the way we do that is, those web traffic logs in CloudSOC can be leveraged using your on-prem firewall or your on-prem proxies as well. So as I said, our span VA is a virtual appliance which can be used to consolidate all the logs, right? So those firewall logs, those proxy logs, and those logs can be collected, consolidated, and then forwarded to the CloudSOC audit module, right? And that's what gives us the edge in helping you understand that shadow IT usage. And CloudSOC CASB, along with our DLP Cloud solution, offers a complete, robust solution protection for your data in motion and data at rest. Now, data which is with data which is in motion is safeguarded, what I would say, protected through our gatelets, which is over here. So gatelets is a way of securing and protecting your data which is in motion, right? So you can have those gatelets configured, and I'll cover those in the upcoming slides as well, where I'll show you exactly how many gatelets we provide out of the box in our CloudSOC portal. So gatelets help you protect your data which is in motion, and securelets is for data at rest. So in this way, and not only this, you can also have your SaaS-based applications and your IaaS-based environments, such as Office 365, AWS, Azure, or GCP. Those can be protected with our CloudSOC solution. So we give you that complete control, we give you that complete visibility across, regardless where your data is stored in across these services. So gatelets, securelets, you can use them to protect your cloud application and block those data in motion. If it contains any sensitive information, you can block them. If someone's using AI, you can, and I'll show that in a minute as well. So if someone's using AI, you can block those AI. We can scan that payload. We can look into those inline text, and we can see those text. We can block if it contains. Of course, if the policy says to block, then we can put a block response rule, and that data will never go out, because that data will immediately be blocked by our CloudSOC agent, which is effectively a light WSS light agent. And it's really a light agent. It's just a 13 or 14 MB in size. So DLP Cloud, if you look at it, if I give you like a one sentence explanation, DLP Cloud is a comprehensive solution serving as a one-stop solution, a one-stop shop for your cloud security challenges and those that we discussed earlier. So this is an overview. I think this is something I covered in the previous webinar as well, but I'll walk over this slide again so that it's clear in terms of understanding the architecture, how the different components communicate with each other. So we're talking about a hybrid architecture. So in this architecture, the Enforce is the main management server, right? So this is where you configure all your CDSs. So all your CDSs you configure on the the Enforce management server, and you create all your policies over here. So this is basically the heart, or I would say the central management system for all your reporting needs or your administration needs and everything. So you can create those agent packages. We do support various flavors of the operating systems, including Red Hat Linux as well, and Windows and Mac operating systems. So you create those packages on the Enforce server, and you can protect your on-prem use cases by leveraging or by using all our detection servers. Now, when we integrate Enforce with CloudSOC, CloudSOC sends, so this is CloudSOC, right? So CloudSOC will send that cloud data that it monitors to the different DLP CDSs, So CDS is our cloud detection service for analyzing against the DLP policies that you create. So this is the beauty of it. So one single console. So one console is where you do the entire administration, you create the policies on-prem, and you deploy it on the cloud. So like one of the use cases is for customers, and that's something that I usually get asked during my presentations when I do it with different organizations, is that can we extend the policies in the future to the cloud? And the answer is a big yes, because we give you that, and the reason is we have that single policy matrix, which single policy framework. So which means that once you create the policy, this policy helps you that same policy can be applied across the various detection servers, as you can see on the screen. And the same policy can in the future be applied to the different CDS, which is our cloud detection service as well. So in addition to the detection rules, our DLP policies can also include those response rules that I was talking about. So those response rules that you create and implement on the Enforce server, the Enforce server will tell CloudSOC to take those appropriate actions. So if there's a block action taking place, if someone tries to send an email and through Gmail, for example, or through Office 365, that email can be blocked by our CDS for SMTP. And that's something, and that incident is getting sent immediately back to the Enforce console, right? As an example, a response rule might also tell CloudSOC to block an attempted download, for example, if that download contains confidential data. So DLP policies, when you create DLP policies, those policies can be based not only on a specific file content, but on contextual attributes as well that are sent from CloudSOC. So this diagram shown over here, it includes those secureLets, those secureLets and gatelets. So secureLets are nothing but those API-based mechanism which is used to scan and secure your data at rest in those cloud applications. So as an example, Office 365, if you want to run a scan against Office 365, so the first thing is you enable that in the CloudSOC portal, and then you can run scans against the Office 365, for example, OneDrive, right? And those gatelets are those inline inspection way of detecting that data which is in motion, right? And on the left over here, you will see that our different components they can integrate with. So for example, our Cloud Suite can integrate with our ICAP service, our email service, email security service can integrate with SMTP as well. I'll take a pause for a second because I've been talking for a long time, just to take on some questions. Kalman, if you see any, because I was getting a few pop-ups and I could see some questions coming in. So I'll take a pause for a second to see if we can answer any questions.
Luckily, DeWitt answered a lot of questions. Just for the audience, the background information, DeWitt is the our
Okay.
colleague from South Africa.
Oh,
He's a
yeah,
security
no,
consultant. So
yeah.
basically, he answered a lot of questions. As I see, one open question is here that how can we integrate with cloud software as a service application not listed under SecureLets? For example, integration with Oracle Cloud Application ERP systems.
Okay. Yeah, so for those, so we have those securelets which are there out of the box, and that's something that I'll show that in a minute. And we have those gatelets that are predefined. So those gatelets are those supported gatelets. But if there is, through Shadow IT, if you do discover your employees or your users using applications or services which are not yet approved, you can create those custom gatelets from our CloudSOC portal. So I have a few examples. Now I'm not sure if ERP is one of them, if that can be integrated, or if we can create some sort of a custom gatelet on our CloudSOC portal to scan that payload. But I do have a few examples where I've created a few custom gatelets to monitor data in motion, and how we can use those custom gatelets to block data transfer if it contains those sensitive information. But I'll write this as a point and see if we can integrate ERP in CloudSOC. But as an application point of view, in the Enforce server for on-prem, you can monitor those application file access controls that you can see. So you can monitor those clipboard actions and many other features through our application file access control, and that's something that's available in the Enforce management server.
Okay, and one more question came. Let's say if the customer is using cloud exchange like Office 365 and email security cloud, and we want to integrate cloud ERP, what will be the email flow in this case?
Okay. So we do support Office 65 and Google Workspace. So emails from these two vendors we do support. And I think lately we also introduced a reflect mode for Gmail as well. So you configure a connector basically, and that connector you add those domains, right? And once you configure those connector, those emails are getting sent to our cloud detection service for SMTP. And based on the policies that you have configured on the Enforce management server, we can do an analysis, we can do an inspection against those emails. And after that, you can have different response rules, such as a block response rule. So if that email, when it's originating from an Office 365 domain, when DLP inspects that email and provided it finds a policy violation, we can instruct our SMTP CDS to block that content. And it's all on the fly, it's all on the cloud. And we don't keep anything on the cloud because that's again a data residency question. I usually get asked, do we store anything? So the answer is no. Everything happens on the cloud, and that incident is immediately encrypted, provided there's a violation that took place. And if we find a match, that incident is created and encrypted and sent back, and it is immediately shipped to the Enforce management server, and the customer sees that incident on the server over here.
Okay, the next question is the requirements to inspect and control data at rest, not data in motion.
Yeah, so for that you use our securelets. So we do have a couple of securelets which I would also include in the upcoming slide. I've already included them. So for data at rest, you can use our CloudSOC securelets, which is an API-based mechanism. So you can scan those. For example, Box is one of them, and I have a list of those securelets added in the slide, so you can have a view. So we can scan those data at rest and apply policies to protect any confidential data which is resting. Another way of doing that is when it comes to data at rest, right? So we have our CSPM, which is our cloud security posture management, right? So you can scan those AWS or GCP or Azure workloads in those environments, and you can implement those technical checks against those environments. And I'll cover that in one of the slide as to what is our capability when it comes to scanning those public clouds.
Okay, some question came about DeWitt, and thank you very much again for DeWitt in the background answering you. Let's see, that is an open question till the Q&A, and we
I
will
just
answer
saw a
it.
data classification question pop up, I think.
Okay, then after you that I answer.
Data, okay, so I'll answer that question. So data classification, when it comes to that, so we can integrate with Microsoft Purview, and we support Microsoft Purview both on-prem as well as on the cloud. So you enter your secret key and those credential information, those keys, those client secret keys, and all that in the cloud, in the enterprise console. So it was previously called as the cloud management portal. It's now renamed as an enterprise console, and that's where you configure your entitlements, your configurations. That's where you choose whether you want your detection servers to be cloud managed or enforced managed. And that's where you configure the OCR, and that's exactly where you also configure your MIP settings. Now it's called the MPIP, right? So that's that. So we have this native integration with Microsoft when it comes to data classification. So all those classified documents, we can read those sensitivity labels, and we can have those remediation rules where we can block if those labels contain a certain tag, right? So if it says confidential, so we can have those response rules in place where we can scan that document and apply a block response rule, as an example. On the on-premise side, we can, of course, on the on-premise side, we can also help with detecting. We can also integrate with Microsoft, but we are, vendor agnostic. So we can integrate with any data classification vendor, and that detection is based off the metadata. So if you as a data classification vendor, if you provide us with the metadata, we can detect on the agent as well as on the network side of DLP. So if someone sends an email and that email is inspected by DLP, we can block that email as long as that metadata is detected by a DLP policy engine. So those are some of the capabilities of data classification. Should we move on, Kalman?
Yes, please. Meanwhile, Saqib and DeWitt together started to answer all of the question. So we
Okay,
are
very
fine.
good.
Yes.
Very
Yes,
good. Okay.
please go.
I'll move on to some of the key use cases. So, right. So organizations, you can take control. So organizations can take control of shadow IT, right? So we begin by the shadow IT component, right? So we can help you identify those risky applications. Uh, we can help you identify those cloud application usage, and the way we do it is by we leverage logs from those multiple sources, to provide visibility into those cloud application usage, right? So usage, not just usage, but we also give you information regarding the location, the volume of data, as an example, right? The volume of data that is exchanged between, those number of user sessions, as you can see on the screen over here, right? And each application, as you can see, you see these ratings, right? So these are, we call it the BRR, which is the business readiness rating. So each application over here is rated with a large list of criteria. So those criteria depend on several factors, right? So those criteria could be vendor reputation, historical incidents, and all those. There are various factors that determine the BRR number. So it's a number that we give to an application, and this BRR is basically computed by an algorithm that contains those dozens. There are dozens of criterias, right? And regarding those security controls in places for that particular cloud application, right? So what this rating really does is this rating helps, first of all, it gives you that exposure, right? So who's using what, who's doing what. It helps you compare those services so that you can safely adopt. So organizations can then safely adopt those applications, right? It also helps you compare the services. So if you see over here, you can use this to compare services, and organizations can then choose whether or not they want to allow the user to continue using the application, or if they want to block that application. Because see, when it comes to adopting a new cloud service or a new cloud application, it can be quite challenging. And because you don't know what you don't know, and that's where the BRR comes into picture, because that's where we give you an insight, we give you a number, so you have the option to decide whether or not to use this application, right? So and plus we also give you that comparison service, which gives you an alternative services with their own BRR score. So then you can choose whether you want to use a new service or keep using the old one. So in a nutshell, we support a large amount of inline inspection gatelets for those SaaS-based applications. But if a new application requires monitoring, so let's say you decide you get those exposures, right? You see those applications that users are using, right? And if you think as an organization, as an IT administrator, you want to protect a new application for which there are no gatelets, you can now create a custom gatelet based on the shadow IT exposure content, the pages that you see over here. So if you want to create a gatelet over here, you basically click on this option, and I'll show that to you over here in the CloudSOC portal as well. So you create a custom gatelet. It automatically populates all the domain that is listed for this particular service, and then you can scan that payload. So as an example, if there's Google Gemini, so we don't have a full-blown version of Google Gemini as a gatelet, but you can create a custom gatelet where you can monitor those Google Gemini domains, and we can scan that payload and see if it contains any sensitive data. If it does, then through the policies that you create, we can block data exfiltration through Google Gemini as well. So this is how the policy UI looks like on CloudSOC. So as you can see, you can determine the transfer types, you can add exceptions of users and groups, you can decide the locations, you can create policies based on file size, you can define different resources. So we do give you those granular policy controls to control your data, and we do support 100 plus cloud applications which are supported out of the box. So some of them, as you can see, listed down here. So Box, one of them, Microsoft Dynamics, Yammer, for example, Workday, Salesforce. So yes, so these are some of the capabilities that we provide out of the box in our CloudSOC portal. So before we jump on to the demo, this is a one quick slide that I wanted to just walk through, and I think this brings in a lot of value. And that's regarding this cloud security posture management, right? So with this, you can discover all the cloud resources, and you can get that visibility and in a centralized console, right? And you can solve those CSPM challenges, right? So you can view all your cloud resources in Azure, in GCP or AWS, and you can get visibility into who's accessing them, right? You can monitor those changes, those logins, those logouts. You can see those changes to infrastructure level, and there are alert mechanisms that you can create, to policies and in regards to even compliance as well, as you can see. And you can benchmark those policies against those regulations such as PCI or NIST or HIPAA, for example. So what our CSPM capability actually does is there is a profile basically, right? I hope I'm still audible. Can you see me?
You stop the screen sharing and you start again.
All right. Yeah, I'm
This is
perfect.
the present view.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened. There was a glitch, I believe. All right. I hope my screen is visible again.
This is the present. This is the present view.
Okay.
Maybe you shared the wrong screen.
Yeah, not sure. 1 second. Let me just quickly. I'm not sure what happened. It just immediately stopped. Okay, I won't go to the presentation view. I'm not sure what's happening, but again, so as you can see, you can secure your Azure environment or your GCP environment or even AWS. So what we do is we provide you with different profiles, right? And those different profiles, it implements a technical check, right? And that technical check consists of different rules, right? So this profile implements those checks for securely configuring your GCP projects, right? So and it is recommended by those CIS frameworks, those GCP benchmark frameworks. So what this benchmark frameworks contain is that it contains a guidance to secure your GCP project, such as your network, your operating system, and some sections can also contain logging and monitoring configuration, virtual networks, security settings, Kubernetes engine configurations, so on and so forth, right? So I think this is really it delivers a lot of value, when it comes to understanding, what kind of posture you have against your cloud workloads in AWS and Azure, right? So as an example, we also give you an auto remediation capability where you can quickly remediate any misconfigurations, right? So auto remediate would be, let's say, if you can create a protect policy to remove those public access for storage accounts, as an example, right? So you can use those auto remediate to remove those public access across your storage accounts if that storage account contains any confidential information. And I think that's basically what our CSPM really does. Um, I think let's maybe I can go on to the demo as the next section, and I have a few use cases that maybe I can showcase, and just quickly, if there are any questions during the demo, I'll be happy to answer them, and I can show across a couple of use cases just to help you understand, how we go about. I think there was a question where to understand, where we configure the CDSs on the Enforce server, right? So I can walk you through how we can activate that in the enterprise console. And then I can show you how we can configure the OCR as well from the enterprise console. And then once you integrate those CDSs in the Enforce, the next step is to start creating those policies. So I think we can jump right to the demo, and my screen is already shared, so I can just quickly show you those. So give me just a second. So yeah. All right, so this is the cloud management portal. So of course, unfortunately, I cannot show you our cloud management portal because those contains those serial numbers and those confidential information. So as you can see, this is where you create your entitlements, those configurations, right? So once you purchase the license, you are entitled to a subscription, right? And this is where you can go ahead and you can create those entitlements. You can configure your different CDSs. So as you can see, you will see a tile over here once you purchase our CDSs or CDS for email. So this is where you configure your CDSs, you enter your domain, and then you enter whether or not you want this CDS to be configured as an Enforce managed DLP, or if you want this to be a fully cloud managed DLP. And this is where you configure your CDSs. Once you configure the CDSs, so similarly, you do this for the ICAP and you do this for the CASB as well. Once you configure this, the next step is to set up the OCR. And if you notice over here, this is also where you set up your MIP credentials. So in OCR, we do support different languages. And for CloudSOC, we support up to 3 languages. Of course, there are a list of many languages that you can pick from: English, French, Arabic, Dutch, as an example. So there are many languages that we support for the OCR engine configuration, and you can select up to 3 languages for the Cloud Detector service. And once you configure this, the next step is to configure policies. So let me try to log in to, before you create the policies, the next step is to configure the integration. So you want to integrate those CASBs with those CDSs with our N4 server. So if you could give me a moment, I'll just go ahead and share my screen. So if it's okay, can I quickly stop sharing the screen and while I just log in for a minute and then I can share my screen again?
Ajit, we see you screen, so it's fine.
Yeah, okay. So I'm just going to stop sharing for a second and I'm going to, because I just need to log in and I'll share the screen again.
Okay.
Thanks. So I'm just logging in to our portal to show you exactly where the integration takes place. And if there are any questions, please feel we can take this time to quickly answer them if that's all right, because I'll take a minute or two to log into the console.
A question came that is OCR work on endpoint level?
No, not at this moment. So there is a feature request in place to enable OCR on the endpoint. Unfortunately, there is no ETA defined at this moment, but yes, we do get a lot of inquiries whether OCR is supported at the endpoint level, and unfortunately, it's not yet supported at the endpoint. It's only supported for network-based incidents, network-based detection service. All right, I'm going to share my screen quickly. Unfortunately,
Okay,
I cannot
okay.
see the screen. All right, I
You see
think,
it?
I hope my screen is visible. Unfortunately,
Yes,
I cannot.
visible.
Let me see if I can go full screen. Yeah, I can. All right, very good.
Great, great.
Yeah, so this is the, I'm sorry, I faced a technical glitch in between, so apologies for that. But yeah, so this is the Enforce Management Console. So as soon as you log in, once you enable those in your different cloud detection service in the Enterprise console, the next step is to get them configured in the Enforce console, and that's how you can have a hybrid architecture, right? So the way you do this, you go to System, and once you go to the system, this is where you add those servers, right? So once you purchase a DLP cloud license, you are provided with an enrollment bundle. So you go here, you add a server and you click on Detector server. You want to add a cloud detector server, and this is where we provide you with an enrollment bundle. Once you enroll your CDSs, this is how you would be presented on the main page of our DLP under system. So you would see your different detection servers. So as you can see, you of course have your N4 server, that's the main management server. And then you have based on your entitlements, you have your DLP for email, which is our CDS for email. We have our CDS for web, and we have our CDS for CASB. Now, this is our on-prem detection servers. Now, as for the demo, we can just take a look at the different policies that you can create and how these policies, because of their single framework, single policy framework, how these policies can be used to deploy not only on-prem, but also on the cloud. So if I go over to the policy section, you can see that I have a few policies that I've created. So if you take a look at the active policies. So the active policy, I've created a couple of policies. One is for the credit cards. One is based on the EDMs, which is, a fingerprint technology. So you can protect your structured or your unstructured data using our EDMs and IDMs. And I have a very simple keyword detection policy, which is a DCM, described content matching policy. And these policies can be deployed across your on-prem as well as your CDSs. So what I've done is the first thing before you create an EDM policy is the first thing you need to create a profile, and that profile is created under data profiles. So if you go here, you under data profiles, you go to exact data, and this is basically to protect your structured data. So I already have a policy which is detecting on this structured data, and I have a source which is already uploaded. So we always, the way we index it, we index the hash values. We never index the actual content of the CSV file. So you come here, you create a profile. Once, similarly, you do this for the IDM profile as well. Once you create those profiles, the next step is to create policies based on that profile. So as an example, this policy over here, it's an EDM based policy. You create a rule based on this data profile, and you create a response rule that once this data is detected on the user's machine, if they try to exfiltrate it through a web upload or through email or through any other channel, we can stop this data using our CloudSOC engine. So our CloudSOC is basically a lightweight WSS agent that helps steer traffic through the cloud suite. And from CloudSOC, it passes it back to the CDSs who basically do the heavy lifting, right? And this is how you configure the policy. Similarly, I've created a policy which is the IDM based policy, and it also does the same thing. So I've applied the same response rule. So you can take a look at this policy as well. So this is an IDM based policy, and in this policy, what I've done over here is I've created a minimum document exposure at 60%. This is something that we recommend. So for those who don't know what this document exposure does, is let's say you have a 5-page document and you want to detect on, let's say, if a user tries to, and if you want to detect, let's say, 60% of the document. So as an example, if the user tries to print or let's say send or exfiltrate data 3 out of 5 page, we can still block that data. We can still detect that data. And that's what this minimum document exposure means. So even if 3 out of 5 pages gets exfiltrated or gets leaked out of the organization, this policy, this minimum document exposure condition can help protect that sensitive data from going out. So that's what the idea, and we usually recommend 60%, but of course you can keep this exposure to from 10 to even exact. So that's on the IDM policies. And of course we have our basic our other policies which is based out of data identifiers such as credit cards. So this policy, again, it gives you information about, you can use our existing data identifiers, and you can have those responses in place where you are blocking those data in motion as well. So let's try to, so now once you've seen this, let me try to go ahead and bring up a console, our Windows 10 machine. So over here, so I've logged into the Office 65 portal on Office on OneDrive using the Office 65 account, and I have a few demo cases, right? So if I try to, let's say, move a credit card data, which is over here. So let's try to add new. Let's go to add. So I'm trying to move data on Office 65, which is OneDrive, and let's try to see what happens if I try to exfiltrate a credit card based document. Let's try to see. So if you see, this has immediately been blocked by our Symantec DLP. So for those who were present in the previous webinar, you would have noticed that this, when we try to do this using the endpoint, which is the DLP agent, you probably seen a pop-up appearing right in the middle of the screen. Now, I don't have any endpoint policy. This is completely based on the policy that I just showed you, which is basically detected by our CDS for CASB, right? Our CDS for WSS. So and similarly, if I try to do a Teams chat, for example, right? So on the Teams chat as well, if you've noticed on the policy, I've applied some Teams remediation as well. And if I try to exfiltrate the same amount of data through the Teams channel, we can try to see if what really happens, because I have applied a Teams remediation policy as well. And if I try to exfiltrate this data through the Teams channel, again, this is immediately blocked as soon as I click on send. So you can protect those accidental data exposure not only on OneDrive, which is an Office 65 based, data sharing application, but you can also put that protection across, IAMs such as Teams, for example. Right. Similarly, if I try to exfiltrate on a web upload, so on the user's machine, if that user's machines contain, uh, you know, if that user is allowed to use free web uploads, free web URLs. So for example, if I try to test this, and if I try to exfiltrate the same data that I just showed you with the minimum document exposure, which is the IDM-based data. So I have a few documents over here, and if I try to exfiltrate this data, if you see, this has again immediately been blocked by our WSS agent. And similarly, if I try to move, let's cancel this one out. Let's try to post an EDM. So this was an IDM test, by the way, an indexed document match. If I try to exfiltrate the same with an EDM in a similar fashion, let's try to see what happens then. So again, this transmission is also successfully blocked by our Symantec WSS agent. Now you should see a corresponding event getting generated in the Enforce console. Like I said, remember during the architecture I told you, right? So everything happens on the cloud. If the CDS detects a violation, a policy violation, that violation, that incident is immediately captured, encrypted, and shipped right back to Enforce, and it's all encrypted. So we don't, retain any sort of data on the cloud. So immediately everything is sent back to the Enforce server on-prem, so the data remains with the customer on-prem and nothing remains in the cloud. So let's go ahead and click. Let's check on some of the incidents that we just tried. We just tried doing. So if you see, this is these are some of the incidents. So if you see, this is a cloud-based incident. Let's try to open that and see what really happened. So we tried moving credit card data on Teams, and if you see, this red symbol means that yes, it was successfully blocked. And if you see, this has been blocked by our CASB CDS, right? And you get exactly all the matches, hits, everything is seen in the incident page. On the network, let's try to look at some other incidents. So this one was blocked by our WSS when we tried to move this data through, I think it was through the DLP test. Yeah, this one. So DLP test, when we tried to move this data through the DLP test website, again, this was successfully blocked by our WSS agent using our CDS for ICAP, right? So, and this is how you can stop those accidental data exposure or deliberate data exposure using our CloudSOC.
And Ajit, a
Yeah,
very important remark came on the chat, and please explain the answer because I believe this is important. I
yeah.
start, but this functionality can be also achieved with the DLP core using global application monitoring, as in the Teams use case, and through the DLP agent itself if a file is sent via the web.
Yes. So with DLP core, definitely you can actually have so there's something called as the application file access, right? And I think Teams is already configured. So let's take a look. I think there's something under agents, I believe. Yeah, so that's also there. Let's take a look under the global application file monitoring, and I think there is one for Teams as well. So. Okay, let's try to move this to maybe 100. So this can be achieved, yes. So the answer is yes, this can be achieved using our DLP core, which is our DLP endpoint agent. So if someone tries to exfiltrate data, this can be achieved through our DLP agent as well. So there is no Teams, unfortunately. I thought there was, but you can go ahead and you can add Teams as one of the applications over here. So what you do is you add the binary of that application, and then you can choose what kind of behaviors you want to monitor, right? What channels, I would say, that you want to monitor. So you want to monitor the removable storage, for example, the local drive, copy paste. So that's something it's definitely available. So it's there are some overlapping use cases that can be achieved both with DLP Cloud, CloudSOC agent, and also our endpoint DLP agent. I hope that answers the question. Now, very important is Gen AI. We spoke about Gen AI at length, right? So let's try to see how we can protect Gen AI. But before that, let's take a look at our CloudSOC portal, right? So let's take a look. I think I was. That's okay. 1 second. Yeah. So, okay, so let's try to refresh the cloud. So this is the CloudSOC portal. So the CloudSOC portal is where you see all our secureLets and all our gatelets, right? So secureLets, as I said, it's mainly there to protect your cloud applications and to protect your data at rest, and gatelets are to protect your data which is in motion, right? Now over here, if you go under the CloudSOC, once you log in, you go to settings, right? This is the setting page, and under DLP is this. Now this is where you configure your enforce with CloudSOC, and this is how the integration takes place. So the first thing is that you, of course, you integrate it on the enforce. You put those enrollment bundles, you integrate those CDSs. Now, once you come to the CloudSOC portal, you go ahead and you configure your enforce server over here. And if you see, this is my CASB, and this is an enforce managed enterprise I have right now. And this is where you can go ahead and you can configure.
एक मिनट कैंसिल करना कैंसिल
Sorry,
करो
was there a question? Sorry, is there a question?
No question. Feel free to go with your topic. Just a remark that we are very close to finish the session.
Oh, really?
3 p.m. Yes,
But
but if you would like to show anything, that feel free to do. And for the audience, please type your question to the chat window and we will answer. It seems for me that the CloudSOC topic is very close for everybody and a lot of questions coming, so
I
we
think
can organize additional meeting. The
yeah,
floor is
sure.
yours, Ajit.
Yeah, sorry. So I think the next time we should try to keep it for 90 minutes, because I think, yeah, my apologies. I thought that this maybe 60 minutes is enough, but yeah, I think 90 minutes is something that I think we should do it. But yeah, so I hope my screen is visible. So I'm trying to showcase our capability on how we can block sensitive data on ChatGPT, right? So like I said, organizations are free to let users use ChatGPT. So there are many benefits when it comes to Gen AI. But when it comes to protecting your sensitive data, so let's try to see, what really happens if I try to share some sensitive data which is blocked by my policy, right?
Yes, we see.
Now, if you see, um, the minute I tried to, now these keywords are actually monitored by my policy, right? So I have a keyword-based policy, which is at this moment monitoring my inline text in ChatGPT, right? Now, similarly, now let's go to the CloudSOC console as well. Let me log in immediately to the CloudSOC console so that I'll show you a couple of gatelets that I've configured, how gatelets are configured, so that you can take a look over there as well. So you understand how this ChatGPT gatelet was even activated, because it's really important to understand that we first activate those gatelets in order to have those benefits. Now, over here, if you see, I have opened up Google Gemini, right? Now, if I try to exfiltrate this data, so let's see, as a user, I'm trying to interact with Google Gemini. I'll make full use of it. But the minute if I try to share something confidential with Google Gemini, and this policy is right now monitoring my interactions with Google Gemini, right? This is a secret and confidential information. Now, because I have a policy in place, it's monitoring these keywords. Even Google Gemini is, or this interaction is immediately, this transmission is immediately blocked by our CloudSOC, right? And the way we do this is by first thing is to integrate our, to activate this different gatelets in the CloudSOC portal. So let's go ahead and let me show you the CloudSOC portal very quickly. All right, so this is the store. So if you go to the store, you will see different types of gatelets and securelets that we have out of the box. Something that you also saw in the slide. So these are our securelets that are available, and these are some of the gatelets that are available out of the box. Now, ChatGPT, if you see, this is already activated, and if you click on View Details, these are the domains that are supported and are scanned by our WSS agent, right? So this is what we do. Now, if you notice over here, Google Gemini is not out of the box, but I did create a custom gatelet for Google Gemini, and this is something that you can see here. Now, similarly, if you want to create another custom gatelet, you can click on Create. You can, let's say, as an example, I have one. I think there was a lot of news for deep AI or something, I believe. So let's say if I, deep AI as an example. So you create deep AI, you give a description, you click on Scan Request Payload, and then you select a domain. So if you already know the domain of deep AI, as an example, I think I have a gatelet that's already configured for deep AI, and I think for DeepSeek as well. So you put the domain. If you want to add more domains, so I think deep AI has another domain as well, which is I think chatbot.app.api or something. So this is how you create those manual entries to create those custom gatelets. And once you create those custom gatelets, you activate those gatelets. Once you activate them, then you can start having those policies. So you go to the Protect app, and this is where you create policies. Now, policy is, and again, these policies over here, now this is a Gemini exfiltration policy. Now, if you take a quick look, what it really does, what it really explains over here is that I'm detecting on files. So this is, I think, deep AI. You can, again, there are various things that we provide you when it comes to those flexibility, right? So you can have device properties, you can manage, you can have it any device, so managed or unmanaged. You can add exceptions, you can add locations, you can have those, you can define those different response rules as well, and you can block those activities as well. So if you see this activity is currently blocked, right? I think lastly, I want to touch base. I just want to touch base on the form recognition part as well. And I think that's something as one of the use cases that I did not cover. And if the time permits, Kalman, I'll quickly walk through the form recognition as well, if that's okay.
Quickly, please. Quickly, please. Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So form recognition, as I mentioned, it's really helpful when it comes to detecting those insurance forms or those tax forms. So for form recognition, the first step is to ensure that you create a profile against a blank form. So I've already created a profile over here against against a blank form, which is, so what you do is you upload a blank form. And what DLP does is someone tries to exfiltrate a filled form through an email. So I've tried to do this. So this is a filled form, which is a tax form. Now, there are many companies. So this can be, this can be applied across multiple use cases. So as an example, this is a tax form, but companies could have their own unique forms. So what you as a company can do is companies can create those indexes of those blank forms, and then you can have those policies in place where DLP will check against the indexed blank form, and it will try to see what kind of changes are detected. So as a user, if I try to send this information across to an external recipient, In my case, it's Bob as an example. Now, this is a filled form, right? Now, if someone tries to do that, and if I go back to my incident, if I go to incidents and if I go to the network channel, I should see an incident where it automatically detects this filled form. So if I go here, now if you see this, DLP, the network print for email will provide you with an exact match of what it detected in the filled form, right? In that form, and everything is immediately highlighted. So this is again one of the form recognition capabilities, which is based on our OCR technology, our image recognition capabilities, and that's something that I also wanted to show today in this demo. So I'll leave the floor for any questions. If there is time, we'll be happy to answer those questions, Kalman, and I'll leave the floor back to you.
Besides, thank you very much. No open question is here regarding the product. One installed environment question came, but because the time is limited, Mustafa, if you don't mind, we won't answer to here, but in the background, I will connect with you with Ajit, and you can talk about this. Because we overrun on the negotiated time, so thank you very much for your attention. We need to close the session now, and in the next few days, we will release the recorded version of this session. Ajit, thank you very much for your presentation. It was great, I believe. DeWitt, Saqib, thank you very much for your background help to answering the incoming questions. For the audience, thank you very much for your attention. I hope the delivered content was useful. If you have any additional question, then feel free to ask me. Here I share my contact information on the QR code. As always, feel free to read and feel free to send me a question. Optionally, I will route the question to the related colleagues. Thank you again. Have a nice day.
Yes, everyone.
See you.
I hope
See you
it
soon.
was useful. I hope to see you in the next session as well. So thanks very much, everyone.
Yes. Definitely, I believe that we will organize the next session about the DLP.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. Thanks, everyone, for your time.